Welcome back, guys. We are the Co-Pods. We're going to show you our covers.
Alright guys, so this episode of Copilot Covers, we are doing an album by Tom Misch called Beat Tape 2, which was released in 2015. We were deciding between several, but I think that recently I found Tom Misch, probably within the last year. He's been a really influential person on me as a music listener, and I think that Bert connected with him as well, if you want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, so I actually started listening to Tom Misch a while back. I think it was our second year in architecture. I found one of his songs, It Runs Through Me, on his Geography album, and I just couldn't stop playing that song nonstop. And I showed it to a couple of my friends, like, hey, listen to this, this was really good. But yeah, it just really hit me. And then after that, I kind of toned it down a bit, but then I was reintroduced again, and I downloaded all those albums because they're just so fluid and just pleasing to listen to. But
yeah, I think that I found him. I honestly you probably sent me that song right when you first found him.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't discover him. I don't even remember what it was that I looked up. But I know that I got my new car, and I wanted to listen to something a little bit more classy or refined.
Yeah.
And for some reason, on my suggestions, Tom Misch just came up and listened to the whole album right off the back, and just loved the music, and I felt at home listening to it in my new car.
Yeah.
Just kind of felt kind of fancy, so it was super exciting just to find a new artist. I also parallels probably found Jordan Reiki about the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a song together. This really good song that actually got me into both of them, called Midnight Mischief. But yeah, that was the initial song that really got me into both of those artists, and it's the reason that we are here today doing this album cover.
Yeah, I think he's a well-rounded artist. So for those who don't know, Tom Misch, he's from the UK. You know, he's pretty much I would say he's instrumental first. His earlier albums is mainly purely just instruments. He has some other collaborations with people who do vocals, but I think the majority of the songs are just instruments. And so I think Beat Tape 2 might have been his first album, or I guess that wouldn't be because it's called 2. But yeah.
Yeah, Beat Tape 1 was his first album.
Yeah. But so then Beat Tape 2 was released in 2015 of August. I think this was Beat Tape 1 and Beat Tape 2 were primarily released on SoundCloud. And then after that was Geography, which was in 2018. And that one was released on all platforms. And then all the other albums before them were also released on Spotify. But so Tom Misch is from the UK. You know, I would consider him like a jazzy, electronic type artist. He's primarily mainly guitarist, but then through the progression of his albums, if you listen to it from his early ones to his later ones, you can start hearing him to actually be more comfortable with his voice, and his voice is really nice to hear. But I think overall Tom Misch is just a great artist. He's done some I don't know if you guys know what the Tiny Desk is, but he's done an NPR. He's done that, which was with NPR. He did 3 songs. I know one is It Runs Through Me, which was the first song I listened to. The second one is Movie, which is a great song. I think it's on Geography album, and I forgot the second one. But if you're ever able to listen to an acoustics version with the artist, it's always just that much better, you know.
Yeah, and I think that acoustics is primarily where he would thrive as much and probably speak his truth a lot better than with all of the extra things added on.
Of course.
Yeah. So I would add that on. But I think one of the things that I watched a documentary, or it was like a YouTube interview for him, something that was super interesting. You were mentioning that he gets more comfortable with his voice, and at first he was just a beat producer, so he really just made beats. And then someone told him that he should start adding his voice in, and essentially his voice becomes this secondary beat layer on top of the actual beats he's making. And so that's really interesting, and I think in Beat Tape 2 I noticed it a lot. He had other artists come on, but there was a few songs where his voice actually just became part of the beat as well, which was really unique in my opinion, treating it more as an instrument instead of just singing words.
You know who's really good at making everything an instrument? I don't know if you know him, Jacob Collier. He's also from the UK,
Yeah.
but his vocals and his mind and music theory in general is probably the best I've ever seen in my life. It's something out of this world. I don't know how he does it, but within his songs, a lot of it, he uses everything to an instrument, whether it's his vocals. It's primarily his vocals. He does a lot of a cappella, and it's actually really phenomenal. And then on some of his other songs, he's able to bring in these other artists, and he uses their vocals as a melodic beat as well. The way he constructs his songs, it's brilliant. It's astonishing. It's out of this world. Maybe we should do him next, but.
Yeah, I know. You showed me a song. I think it was "All I Need."
Yeah.
You used to play it all the time.
Yeah, I forgot who's in it, but I think T-Pain's in that too.
Yeah, Ty Dolla.
Yeah, Ty Dolla. Yeah.
Let's see, Ty Dolla Sign.
And there's a girl, I forgot her name, but I think it's like 3 artists and then him. But anyways, but yeah, Jacob Collier is phenomenal with just music production in general. I think he's just the greatest I've ever seen. But Tom Misch, I think it goes to personal preference. You know, if you prefer kind of a cappella-ish music versus, you know, jazzy, calm type music, or Tom Misch is just, I would say like electronic jazz, but it's relaxing and calm to an extent, and it's really pleasing to listen to when you're doing something that you need to focus, or you just want to enjoy something if you want to enjoy a drive, if you want to just focus on your homework, if you want to take a walk for the park, you know, his music fits with everything, I would say.
I put him on a lot when I'm just cooking in my apartment.
Yeah.
It's just easy background music to get lost in.
No, yeah, I definitely, on my drives back and forth here from Lubbock to San Antonio, Lubbock to DFW, I don't know, wherever I go, I definitely have to have at least a full album of Tom Misch, because it's so good. It's like it keeps me focused, but in a happy way, you know.
Agreed.
Oh man. But
have you ran into anyone that's a big fan of Tom Misch?
I think I got our friend Megan. But I actually showed her Tom Misch when I first listened to It Runs Through Me, and then she was like, oh, yeah, all right. But then I think last September, she's like, she sent me Tom Misch as like a recommendation song or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I showed you this person. He's like, oh yeah, I love Tom Misch. I was like, well, I mean,
it's funny when you send friends a song and then they end up sending it back to you like 6 months later.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, you know, you got this.
Exactly.
They swear that we didn't send it to them and they found it themselves, but deep down we know.
Mm-hmm.
We know.
You know, I think it's also really cool. Tom Misch has he has a younger sister, and she's also a musician.
Yeah, Laura.
Yeah, and she's also a musician, but she's primarily on a saxophone. And I would say Tom Misch's instrument is a guitar. And if you guys are able to listen to some of Laura's music, please, you know, grab a chance as well, because I think it's mainly instrumental, but it's also really good.
Yeah, I listened to, I think it was Lonely City and Playground, when I found out that he had a sister.
Yeah.
And I was like, what, there's a second person in the family that does this? What?
Yeah, I think he's just a very
pretty
musical family.
Yeah, and it was exciting to know that there was a sister. But it's interesting, I believe that she is not on the same, so Tom Misch has his own record label.
Yeah.
And
She
is not a part of that. So she's kind of on her own in a lot of ways, which is super respectable within the family. Because obviously, I think if I was a sister and I made music and my brother had his own record label, I feel like I would just jump on ship with that. So
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that she is opting not to do that. And I don't know. it's an interesting. I don't know if it's trying to stay more true to who you are and wanting to make it for yourself. Maybe I'm not really sure.
Could be that. Well, I know. So Tom Misch, his record label is Beyond the Groove, and then he's worked with. I think he's working with Blue Note Records right now. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But I think that's who he produced. Maybe his first two or Geography. I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to look that up again. But yeah, I think it's really like, I think it's maybe she just wants to make it for herself, you know, and then she might be able to have that help from Tom Misch as well. But I think you know, when you're in a family and you have a sibling that makes it or just is doing well for himself, you kind of want to. Sometimes you look up to that person as well because it's in your family, you know. For me, it's my sister. I feel like she's done well, and I don't want to ask her for help, but I want to be as good as her and how she's done well for herself, you know. So I think it could relate to that. But yeah, definitely a musical family for sure.
I know it's interesting. I feel like there's some brother-sister duos out in the music world right now that I wasn't even aware of. But when I went to ACL, I wasn't aware that Billie Eilish and Phineas were related, and I know they got nominated for a lot of awards recently. So it was interesting to see like that brother-sister combo taking on the music world. In a lot of ways, I kind of see this as a possible in the future. I mean, Tom Misch is pretty popular already.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to think that these like brother-sister duos might potentially be the future of the business in terms of music.
I think in terms of music, actually kind of a personal experience for me. My sister, she's older than me. She's about 3 years older than me. And so she was in middle school. I was like, I guess you call it intermediate school or junior high. It's 5th and 4th grade, whatever. But so she tried out for band, and then she was a trombone player. And then for me, like, I kind of saw that like, cool, I want to be in the band too. But I mean, I was kind of stubborn too, and I didn't want to do anything like horned or win anything. So I tried for percussion, and I did it. So it was I thought it was kind of cool how I'm like following in my sister's footsteps, and like and in high school we would be able to like play together in the band. I thought it was really cool, and so it's kind of like just, you know, me doing it for myself, but also because I see my other sibling doing it and I want to follow as well. You know, I think that's how maybe these Tom Misch and Laura. It's Laura, right? I think so.
Yeah, Laura.
Yeah.
Same name as my mom.
Yeah. But I think that's how they are as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm an only child, for those of y'all out there who don't know. So it's always inspiring for me to see like a brother or sister combo that's or a family that's just super close knit. And have a lot of influence on each other in a healthy way, and it's super exciting for me to like know that one day I'll have my own family that will be similar and hopefully influence each other just as much. So it kind of just made me like Tom Misch or respect him even that much more, just because he's like this older brother figure who's helped shape his family as well. We could be I guess we don't really know his story, but we can we're assuming.
Let me ask you this: would you prefer to have a family like musical? Like, you know, would you want to have kids that are Tom Misch and Laura Misch?
You know, I've always wanted professional tennis players as kids.
That's fair. You know, that's fair.
So it's like throw them each in a sport and hopefully one of them makes it. But I don't really. I think that's just because I have like a love for tennis, and so for me, I would want that for my kid, whereas, you know, it's whatever they're passionate about, I think. And that's kind of like what we're trying to do, is just be successful with what we're passionate about. And so having a family that would come together and just like take on a certain industry or a certain topic or a certain challenge in the world collectively is really cool, because I feel like a lot of families right now, we all go to school for different degrees, and then we kind of work separately or apart from each other and have different jobs. And so I don't know, it's an interesting take on the world. 'Cause, I mean, you look at Serena and Venus Williams and their dad they're both tennis stars, and then Phineas and Billie Eilish are both music stars, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure the list could go on.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
on.
There's definitely a lot of siblings out there: basketball, NFL, music, even in the work industry itself. You know, a lot of companies that are family related as well. But I think it's pretty cool if you're able to ever integrate family within a business. I mean, sometimes it can be unhealthy, but or not a business, but just your activities. Sometimes it could be unhealthy, but if you're able to do it in a way that meshes well together, I think those are always good times. So topping off that, would you want to hop into our first album?
Yeah, we can go for it.
All right.
You want to go first this time?
Yeah, I'll go first. So for my album, I aim more towards the feeling of the music and the feeling of the overall album itself. And to me, Tom Misch is this album itself just really gives me late night drives. It's something that you can escape from reality, even if it's not late night drives. Maybe a morning walk or just maybe I just get lost in my homework and just listen to the music and do nothing else. But so what I did was I was driving around a couple nights, and I tried to do it during the day, but I didn't really like the outcome of the images. And so what I did was I just grabbed my camera and I drove around of things that I thought I can capture this moment, And so I took 2 images that I really liked from, I guess, my photo shoot. And so the first image is a blurred intersection, and it just, to me, that really captures the essence of the album. You're jamming in the car, just away, just not even focused on the light if it turns green, yellow, or whatever. You're just in your own zone, Yeah. And then so this second image, I wanted something that can kind of represent like a fluidity that I guess kind of drips in a sense, like because this album is, I think it's fluid from first song to second song to the second song. It just connects so well, and each song is kind of like a different tone in a sense. But so then the second image, I found a really cool building under construction, and I was able to capture just the light itself. It kind of like it still gives like a relaxation, but with just, I don't know, it's just like relaxation with the unfocused reality. That's how I perceived it as. And so I was able to then create my album cover, which to me, what I did was I took the majority lights image, and I took the intersection image, and I just put one on top of the other. And with the lights, I was able to kind of distort it all into a straight line, and as kind of just as representation of just the fluidity of the lights. To me, it's like, what's that one thing where it's kind of like a disease where you look at a light and at nighttime and it's like kind of a star instead. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. But I just imagined a bug.
You know how you squint. You know how you squint at.
Oh yeah.
So for some people, it's an actual thing. Like that's how they see night lights, and I mean it's not exactly like that, but it's just to me it's kind of like a poetry in motion. I was talking with my friend the other day and about music itself, and rap is to me essentially poetry in motion, and this album to me is poetry in motion as well. And it's like I needed something that can just that it felt like it was just relaxing. I didn't want it to be too aggressive or too harsh. All of them are straight except for like one curved line that it's like kind of just the outlier of in some of his songs there might be this or that, like it like this or that, just what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember it. And it's an easy word, like a scare in a sense, or not a scare. I can't remember it, but yeah. So and then in his before he was making this album, the album cover itself for Beat Tape 2, his mom and his sister apparently are all the ones that help him with his album covers. Yeah. And so I actually found a post before he released the album, and it was his handprint, which was the actual album cover. For those you don't know, his album cover is just his handprint. And so when he posted a picture of the unfinished album cover, on Instagram, he put it in the caption, "My mom's art, my hand, keep it in the family." And so to me, that just like that resonates with me, and I wanted to kind of capture that moment of essence as in authenticity, and that's how that's why I put it on there as well. But to me, this album cover is more about relaxation and enjoyment with the eyes in comparison to enjoyment with the ears with his album cover. That's my take on this.
Gotcha. So it's more so just like a time when you really enjoy listening to the music itself, and so you've captured those through the images.
Yes.
That it's representing. So it's like your take on the music and where you would ideally listen to it at.
Yeah, essentially, it's just a moment that I can just escape from reality. Because to me, his music, as we talked about earlier, to me, all his albums are phenomenal and something that you can escape from reality.
You just get lost in it. Yeah.
Lost in the sauce. Easy.
One of the things I appreciate about it too is that it's technically clean music, so there's not really any swear words or anything bad about it. It's like comedy. I respect it a lot when it's just clean comedy, because it's, in a lot of ways, it's a lot harder to do. But I just wanted to ask, so the lights, the purple lights, how did you make those, or how did you create those, or decide that you wanted to put them on?
So with the image of all the lights, right? I trimmed it down to a section that can give me the most out of the image itself, because I know if I added the whole image, it'd just be too much, and I needed something that wasn't too much or too little. And so I was playing around with like what section of this photo can I take out and then add it to the album itself. And so I found this section that's in my album cover, and then I was able to play with the colors and the contrast of the image itself, and then from there I kind of wanted to add like kind of a glitch effect, I guess you can call it. I hope it comes across that way, but kind of a glitch effect with the lights itself. And so you just use the paintbrush tool and you drag it all down with different colors, and then that's how you do it.
It's weird because it's like, I'm thinking architecturally speaking, you have these cars that are like coming at you, and then in like top view or plan view, you have these lights that are traveling like the cars do.
Yeah.
So it's like a double layer of traveling on top of traveling. That's pretty cool. It's just like a fluid motion of movement. I also like, so the little curved line is like really nice, because it's like, you did a really good job drawing that, because I could not do that.
I'm not gonna lie, that was first try too.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you. With a mouse? Gosh, yeah, no, I wouldn't erase that. No, that's just like, it's nice that it's, there's like and it's like with the songs, there's just like something with every song that really gets your attention, and that's something that I kind of played off of as well. And so having this like, that one curved line is really sick, because it's showing that among all of the constants of Tom Misch and what you expect from him, he has something to like kind of surprise you with every time.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for earlier, surprise. But so
surprise.
So the reason, like the curved line, I didn't want to keep it all straight, because essentially his music, like, I think if you think about it in a bigger parallel, the straight lines to me is Tom Misch's style of music, but then the curved line is his individuality. You have a combination of all these different artists, and then you have Tom Misch. You have a combination of all these different music, or his songs, but then you have this part of the song that's an individual part that just brings your inner emotion out. That's why I feel like if it were all straight lines too, it's cool, but I think I needed something to speak about his individuality, so I decided that the curved line was the best fit.
Dope.
So yeah, that's my album cover.
Cool. Like it. I would offer I don't know if I think the only thing that's not my favorite part is I love the quote and the authenticity of it, but the fact that the mom's not making the art on it, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Wait, sorry, repeat that?
I almost think that the quote should have been a part of the original album cover when it was released.
Oh, gotcha. It was just something he posted on Instagram. So I mean,
yeah. I think that he should have, maybe put that. I think that would have been super like tender or sweet to have that quote underneath the handprint on his other album cover. Because I just I wouldn't have been tempted to mess with it at all. It's almost like I could see that that text being like a tattoo on someone.
Yeah, I wanted the font of the text to be like he wrote it, and it's hard to find a font or something like that to do that.
Get you. Fonts are.
but one of my favorite artists, I'm pretty sure you know, Saba, and his previous album that he just released, I really loved how he put handwriting on his album cover. And to me, that's like, and it wasn't just some gibberish words. It was like something that meant something to the album that was produced from the album. And I wanted to capture that with this album cover as well, because I feel like if you're able to do that and it fits your style of music, then go for it. And I think sometimes handwriting on this album itself, on the album cover, I think it works.
Yeah. I think that's a really unique thing, is to put handwriting. I think that a lot of people tend to do it with tattoos, or it's like, I know I've seen a lot of tattoos that are like, I love you, but their mom's the person that wrote it. I think it's a really sentimental gesture in a lot of ways. It makes the whole thing very grounded in a way, like personable, which is it's always a nice thing to do.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna get into yours.
Oh yeah.
All right. So let's hear it, Brinton. Let's see it.
Okay, so this is my album cover, and so essentially what I have always loved Tom Misch for is the beats that he makes, and that's what he prides himself in as well. And so for me, I think even with my last album cover with Kygo, I'm trying to represent these artists' main identity in some way. And so highlighting the beats and showcasing what they're truly passionate about and what they're known for is something that I like to do, or want to do, for these artists, because I just think that you need to really represent what went into it. And so for each of the songs on the album, I went through and listened to them, and I pulled out a small excerpt of a beat. And so the final album cover is actually all of them juxtaposed or put on top of each other, so they're all combined into a super composite beat or display of beats. But if you go to our Instagram, I have each moment in each song with an actual time frame of when the beat was extracted from each song, ranging from right at the start of it to some of them were taken at 1 minute 32 seconds, some of them were taken at 2 minutes and 32 seconds, so that sort of thing. You can go and see exactly what song was used and what moment of that song was used. So I used a beat from each of those moments and visually represented them on paper, on white paper. And so the videos are also there on our Instagram, where you can really watch to see how those were actually created and how the final composition was created. But yeah, I wanted to, for the final, I think I had this huge idea of just, for me, it's when I hear a really great album, we pick them because they are incredible as a collective. They're not just one song here and there. And so for me, I really want to represent the whole album as a whole, just because I want to, it's a great album to listen to. I can listen to it from start to stop and really just enjoy the journey. Which is one of the songs on the album, haha. But yeah, I really had a great time with this album cover, just because I was finding a way to really represent who he was to me as an artist and what I've grown to really appreciate about what he's done in music, and just realizing that for me, I think I've always told you this too, but I am not a big person on lyrics or words as much in songs. I really typically don't listen to songs for words. I usually listen to them for the beat or the actual instrumental behind it. And not because I dislike words by any means, but I think I've just always been drawn to listening to something that's groovy or easy to listen to or fun to listen to or makes my my ears work. And I really appreciated Tom Misch and really resonated with him for his ability to focus on one of the things that I love about music. And so this is my way of really showcasing what the album was to me. So, yeah.
That's fair. Then I'm more of like the lyric guy in music, I guess, out of between two of us. Like for me, I focus more on the lyrics, but I also, having percussion background, I love just to hear the beat and the melody combination as well. I'm just all over the place with music, but this album cover, I think, this is the bar. This is literally you set the tone for future album covers. Like, this is phenomenal. It's okay. So, I think it's called RoboShock Images. When you, I think it's like when you see a therapist, whatever.
Yeah.
And they show you an image, and you have to like think what the image is. Like, it's an image of something, but that, to me, it's kind of like this, but in a very positive way. You see what you've created with Tom Misch's music. Like, to me, what I'm seeing in this album is not just like splats of paint on a paper. I'm seeing like there's a little section in there. It's just I see a bird, and I can definitely relate. I feel like a bird's a perfect animal for Tom Misch's music. It just works. And then there's other parts where I see just like wings or something. I don't know. You create your own image out of an image you created through the melodic and tones of Tom Misch's music, and it's just, I think it's incredible. I think you definitely set the bar. You set the tone with this album. I love that you didn't keep the white background from their videos that you showed. You changed it to fit the ink. But I think I got a question: is how did you play with each combination of image to make this big collaboration of images?
Yeah.
Like, how did you know it was right?
So it was like 3 separate attempts in Photoshop to get layers to line up correctly. I don't even remember what I ended up using as a preset on the images, but it finally worked at a coffee shop here in Austin, where I was just sitting there and I was trying. It's like I knew I wanted to overlap all of the ink layers, but I couldn't get rid of the white background, and so some button that I pressed magically made all of the white disappear. And so then from there, some of the ink was, there's some blue and brown tones, but messing with the levels on that, they aren't all perfectly overlaid. I did drag a few of them just so they would be seen better on the actual album cover itself. So each square is not just technically thrown on here. I did kind of arrange them a little bit differently so that you could get a piece of each song.
Well, I don't assume that you throw it.
Yeah.
You throw all the images kind of as just like a mesh. I assume you have some organization to it.
I wanted to it would have been easier to just throw them all literally with the perfect square and just put them all in there. But then it was I had this weird really dark black blob in the bottom right hand corner. So moving around by layers was. You know what's perfect about this that gives a good connection to his album cover is the handprints. Like, you can definitely see your handprints in correlation to his handprints. So it's kind of like, my tie to I can't say the word. I'm not gonna even try. But my tie to his album was his verbiage or his vocabulary that he said that goes along with his. And then your tie with this album cover is the pretty much the main story point of his album cover is the handprint. I think you definitely captured it well here. It's a great album cover. I think the tan yellow tone, whatever, that matches perfectly with the ink colors itself. That even the ink color is not just a solid black. There's whites, there's grays, there's dark blacks, or dark black. It's just black. Yeah, no,
but
I tried to use the same color scheme that he actually had on the original album cover too. So that tan is pulled from the color of the handprint itself originally. Kind of just inverted a little bit. If you look at the original album cover.
Yeah. That's Yeah, I think one thing as designers in general is that you always try to just match. If you're taking something and you're recreating it or making it something new, you always just try to have that one thing that matches or that still gives a subtle presence of what it was before. And color matching is definitely like that big subtle point that helps.
Yeah. Agreed. So.
It's I think you outdid yourself on this one.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad that I was able to, I think it's cool to really like just pull yourself out of. I think the cool thing about album covers is you don't have to make them digitally, or a lot of them are made by hand. And one of the things I'm realizing is like I think that we both went digital on the first two.
Well, I went digital first too.
Yeah.
This is not really digital, but
you started incorporating actual photographs of like ways or things that we can see like around life, and then now I used kind of more of a analog technique to actually make it real. So it's pretty cool to get diving into these different I guess mediums to use for these album covers.
I guess that's gonna be my next challenge is to maybe go more analog or more materialistic.
Hey man, whatever. I mean, some albums are literally just a photograph, so it's pretty. I'm really enjoying so far the just the broad scope of what we're able to do in terms of creative freedom.
Having creative freedom is just something that's always pleasant to have. It's you really get to do whatever you want, and it's fun. You get to play around with whatever tools you have. It's like a kid in a candy shop. You can get whatever candy he wants. So one more question to top this podcast off. What was your favorite song on the album?
I would probably have to say that it was Colors of Freedom. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing. It's spelled like Colours. I think that's a.
They just
UK
pronounce
thing.
it. It's a UK thing. They pronounce it. They spell it differently in the UK.
Colors of Freedom. I think it was probably my favorite song just because. I don't know. I resonated with it. Honestly, I picked it today while I was listening to it prior to the podcast. So I probably listened to the album like upwards of 60-something times.
I get you. I have a. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. No, it's just like with each song, I think it's just beautiful to like respect a different element of it. And so there's another song on the album where there's just like this constant sound in the background. And they use that and they use it in movies a lot too, where there's like this. It's like building suspense. So it's like this constant like thing in the background that's just there, but other stuff is happening, and it's just like a suspense builder. So like just sitting down and recognizing those different elements of songs based on how I'm feeling versus like today versus 2 months ago makes me realize and appreciate different aspects of them more. So, yeah.
That's a pretty good key point. Yeah, for me, like I have all the songs like from each album on my one playlist on Spotify, and it's called Bert's Brain Food. And what essentially it is just like electronic. It's just electronic music that isn't like screamo or not screamo, like dubstep music, but it's just like a good relaxation electronic music. And so I had to put all those albums on there. Like there's just a section at the end that it's just Thomas, and it's all different albums. But I think the song that I love the most is In the Midst of It All. Oh man. The how simple the piano is in that song to just how soothing that song is. It's a yin and yang thing, it's it's so good. It's just a good song. I can't not listen to that song and then not hit replay 3 other times. It's like if I listen to that song, it's gonna be replayed 3 other times, maybe even more. But all his songs are great. There's even other songs on his other albums.
I'm glad that we got to cover him. I am excited to hopefully see him in concert this weekend somehow. This information, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well.
But did we decide our next one yet? Do we want to release that yet or no?
I think we'll keep them waiting. We'll keep it a little secret. But I think this has been a great talk. I think album colors both were phenomenal. Hopefully we can.
The confidence. Oh yeah, it was a great podcast. I just want to say thank y'all to everyone who has watched it through and joined us for it. We are excited. We are it's just keeping us going on the side of crazy life. So thank you for joining us. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.